Hi, and welcome to the Beauty Interviews. And my guest today is the lovely Saleema Davies. Saleema is a lawyer. She is also a clinical hypnotherapist and the founder of a company called Papalona. So I won't tell you what Papalona is. I'll let Saleema tell you all about it in a few minutes. Saleema is also the mother of two beautiful little girls. And I'll add that she's also a very gifted amateur actress. Now, if I say this, it's as a drama teacher and coach for more than 35 years. I saw Saleema last year in the Vagina Monologues, and I thought her performance was really outstanding. So for all of these reasons, and also because she's my friend, I am very honored to welcome you, Saleema. Thank you very much for being here today.
Okay, and thank you for having me. It's a real treat to be here. So Papalona is a company that creates audio downloads for parents to play to their children to start to lay strong foundations into the psyche for good mental health and lifelong emotional well-being. Basically, as a clinical hypnotherapist, I noticed that everybody that comes to me in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, all have issues that start in childhood. So I thought, well, rather than waiting until we get there and carrying around all our baggage and spending a fortune trying to fix things, why don't we get it right from the start? So these are very simple audio downloads that take advantage of the natural brainwave cycles that children go through all day, every day, to start to sync positive affirmations for good emotional well-being into the psyche, with the hope that, you know, a lot of the problems that we go through in life won't actually occur because we feel good about ourselves.
That's amazing. I love this idea. It's
Thank
quite
you.
revolutionary.
Yeah. Nobody else is doing it, which is, you know, fabulous, but makes me think, I wonder why.
Saleema, I generally begin the interviews with a question about what people see in the mirror when they look at themselves in the mirror. So what do you see, Saleema?
So I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I still don't know the answer. For me, I think the mirror is quite functional.
Yes.
It's like a check-in. Mm-hmm. You know, am I doing all right? Have I got spinach between my teeth? That kind of thing, rather than any, you know, long time looking into my eyes and seeing how I'm feeling or something along those times. I mean, there have been times in my life where I haven't wanted to look in the mirror, and I think that can be quite an indication of where we're at.
Yes.
You know, emotionally as well as anything else. But nowadays, yeah, it's a quick look and a run.
Do you like what you see when you look at yourself?
Depends what day it is. I think, you know, I've grown to a point where I'm comfortable in my own skin, and so I'm not generally shocked by what I see, and I'm comfortable with it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you feel beautiful?
Some days. I think for me, beauty is not about being attractive. I think there is a difference between beauty and attractiveness. I think attractiveness is when we make the most of ourselves, and, you know, you can go out and you can feel glamorous or good about yourself. For me, beauty is very individual, and it comes about by being authentic and being comfortable with who we are. And those moments where I'm in the flow and I'm happy with what I'm doing, then yes, I think I probably have that sense.
And what about, so you have two daughters, right?
Yes.
What do you say to them? Do you tell them that they're beautiful, or do you never mention it? And you encourage them to feel confident, to feel more of the things that are maybe the elements of inner beauty?
I think I do both. They're very different. They're different in personalities and they're different in looks. And I find them both very beautiful in their own ways. And again, you know, a lot of the beauty comes from that inner spark and that, you know, the joy that you have when you see someone that you love and you can see how beautiful they are because of that. They They are 8 and 10 at the moment. They're at different stages of self-consciousness, but they are coming through that, and you can really see how that is developing for them. We teach them to be confident, we teach them to be resilient and all of those things, and to take pride not just in their achievements but also their effort, to be kind, to be compassionate, all of those kind of things. But I tell them that they're beautiful, I tell them that they're pretty, I tell them when they look good, because I think we should rejoice in our beauty as well, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, and I want them to feel good about themselves and beautiful. So all of the above.
What do you think about beauty as something that you recognize in your environment, for example, the beauty of nature, or a beautiful sunset? Do you think that the more you feel beautiful inside, the more you can see these things outside, or is there a connection between how you feel about yourself and how you see beauty around you?
Undoubtedly. I think, though, it works both ways. You know, those moments where you're driving home and you feel exhausted, and then there's a glorious sunset that takes your breath away, or when the moon is full and you haven't been looking for it, or when you're out for a walk and you see a tiny flower grow up through paving stones. Those moments that take your breath away and make you stop, make you realize where you are. And I think when we realize where we are, we start to see the beauty around us. There is a mindfulness that comes with it. It's an appreciation. And I think nature can remind us to look for beauty everywhere.
Lovely. Saleema, I've got a few cards here, so I'd like, with a few quotes from more or less famous people, I'd like you to pick one.
A beautiful thing is never perfect. That's an Egyptian proverb. I think that's perfect. That's what I mean. I think beauty is individual. It's not about being in symmetry or beauty in nature. Nature is perfect, but it's full of imperfections. Every flower has different shades of colour and slight degradations to their petals, or a tree that's had its bark nibbled away. The beauty comes from those imperfections that makes us stop and notice. Yeah.
How do you feel about beauty, like in the fashion industry? The way it's promoted through magazines?
I think it's very limiting. I think it's very superficial and material. You know, it is beauty as a way of selling. Whether it's your skin product or a particular coat or something along those lines, its end purpose is not the celebration of beauty or the world around us. It is to get us to buy. And yeah, like we say, you know, beauty is in that individuality and in that celebration of imperfections. Whereas the fashion industry, the beauty industry, tells us to get rid of all our flaws.
Have you ever photoshopped a picture of you?
No, but probably because I don't know how to use Photoshop. I've deleted a number. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to look and appreciate our flaws because we grow up in that world of flawlessness, don't we? By plucking her petals, you do not gather the beauty of the flower. Tagore. That's nice. The different parts of us that make up that individual, that's our life experience. Those flaws, those lines, all of those things that come together to make up that picture, that experience, whatever it is that we admire, that resonates. And it's not about dissembling it, deconstructing it down to its finest point.
Could you give a definition of beauty?
No. I did see something, actually. I should have brought it out. It was a quote, and I couldn't find the author, but it was, and perhaps what made her beautiful was not her appearance or what she achieved, but in her love and in her courage and in her audacity to believe, no matter the darkness around her. Light ran wild within her, and that was the way she came alive, and it showed up in everything.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the aliveness. I think that's very moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful quote.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll put it online. Yeah, that's amazing. It is very difficult to define beauty, and I think it's a very individual definition. Anyway, okay.
Makeup can only make you look pretty on the outside, but it doesn't help if you're ugly on the inside, unless you eat the makeup. Audrey Hepburn. Well, she should know, shouldn't she? She's beautiful inside and out, from what we can see. Yeah, I think that's right. I think for me it's that difference between beauty and attractiveness. And you can see some women who are, obviously men too, but who have spent hours in the salon and who are, typically plucked and preened to within an inch of their life, but there's nothing about them that draws you in.
Would you even find it relevant to talk about the beauty of maybe moments when somebody's very close to death, or you walk in a street and there's litter everywhere, or there's something that's by definition something that you wouldn't find attractive, and yet maybe if you look at it, feel it, maybe you can connect to a sense of beauty there, and something that wouldn't be your first idea of beauty. I don't know if I'm making myself...
I think there's certainly beauty in dying. I think that even though it is painful to sit by the bedside of someone that you love and see them pass away, there is a preciousness in not the whole process, but in parts of that process, which can be quite beautiful and a privilege. So yes, I think it is that, and again, it reminds me of when we had, say, the bombings here, and people sort of say, well, how do you look for the light? How do you keep light in those sort of situations? Because it is so important not to just dive into that dark place, particularly at times like that. And someone said, you look for the good. You look for the people who rush in. You look for the people who are, the paramedics and whatever. You look for the people who defend others and so on. And I think those sort of situations perhaps challenge us to look for the good. But there is always something beautiful. There is always something good if we open our eyes to it. But it can be challenging to look.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Do you do with Papalona? Do you do? I think you mentioned something for adults as well. You have downloads for adults too. Yeah. Are they centered on confidence and this sort of thing too?
Yes. So the way we work is there are recordings that are principally aimed at children in terms of laying those foundations for long-term emotional health. Adults obviously have already got a certain amount of programming going on, and we try and perhaps guide them a little more through specific issues, and they vary. Really, Papalona is about supporting families. I think parenting is possibly one of the hardest jobs, if not the hardest job in the world. And it really came about because I realised that I needed all the help that I could get. So yes, we have some specific adult-related products that are about the challenges of being confident as a parent, not having to listen to all the other blurb, because there's always someone to tell you that you're doing it wrong. The challenges of being a stay-at-home mum, the challenges of being a working mum, returning to work, all of those kind of things. But actually what we've also found is that the parents are listening to the recordings with their children, and on those tracks you can only hear nature sounds. The affirmations are set at a level that the subconscious hears, but aren't readily audible, and the parents are benefiting from those too. So yeah, there's a whole range of things for them. But yes, we want to really just support families, because I think, happier families create for happier lives for everybody.
Oh yeah, I think it's a beautiful project. And it's a very, very important one. I think you're helping future generations.
Yeah.
And how it's a wonderful project when you think that with these simple tools, people can become who they fully are.
Absolutely.
And they're beautiful selves, in fact.
Yeah.
And what a lovely world it will be if everybody sort of reach adult age without those wounds, without most of those wounds, and how we carry them, and how it takes a long time to become conscious that we've got them, and then to start doing the work to heal them. It often takes years, decades before we can actually become ourselves.
Yeah.
So what a wonderful, beautiful project.
Very simple way of helping parents to make sure that all of those messages that we want for our kids and we're trying to install anyway, like you're beautiful, you have a right to be confident, you have a right to take up space, it's good to be kind, all of these things, we're just making an effort to make sure that that's what's going in.
They hear positive messages, because you're absolutely right, there are so many negative messages around. And we absorb all the things that we hear. So whether we are conscious of it or not, our body hears it. And the subconscious mind is would take many hours to talk about the subconscious mind, but it is what rules.
Absolutely.
And we are ruled by our subconscious mind, so it is very important to know what we're feeding it.
Absolutely. And I think, to just make sure that it's aligned with where we want to go in our lives, because what worked for us at a certain age doesn't necessarily work at a later stage. But if we get those foundations right, then we can just all head towards those happier lives. It doesn't mean there are no challenges, it doesn't mean we're always going to be living on cloud cuckoo land, but it just means that those foundations are strong.
Thank you very much, Saleema, for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
I just would like to add that I find that you're a bit like a diamond with lots of facets, and your light, the light that shines through you is absolutely glorious. It's just pure love.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. À bientôt. Bisous.